2 clay pots, and a handful of sand. That is everything you need to drop any room temperature by 15 degrees. No electricity, no moving parts, no monthly bill, no installation, no maintenance, ever. You set it up in 3 minutes and it runs continuously, day and night, for as long as the sand stays moist. A university laboratory in Phoenix, Arizona, tested this exact setup against a $5,000 central air conditioning unit. The clay pot setup dropped the surrounding temperature by 15 degrees within 20 minutes. The peer-reviewed results made the HVAC industry deeply uncomfortable. A $5,000 machine and 2 clay pots from a garden store performed within 2 degrees of each other in the first 30 minutes. 2 clay pots cost $4. Combined, welcome to Vault Breaker, where we open every vault that billion-dollar industries paid to lock shut. Subscribe and ring the bell right now because you can build this before this video ends. This device has a name. It is called a Zearpot, and it is one of the oldest functional cooling technologies ever documented in human history. The Zearpot works through a principle called evaporative cooling, which is the same physics your body uses when you sweat. When water evaporates from a surface, it absorbs heat energy from the surrounding air to power that transformation from liquid to vapor. Every unit of water that evaporates from the outer surface of the clay pot pulls a measurable amount of heat out of the surrounding air in the process. The result is air around the pot that is measurably, consistently cooler than the ambient room temperature. Clay is the critical material because unglazed clay is naturally porous. Water stored between the 2 clay pots slowly migrates outward through the porous walls of the outer pot to the surface, where it evaporates continuously. This creates a self-regulating cooling system that maintains itself as long as water remains in the gap between the pots. The physics has not changed once in 4,000 years. And 4,000 years ago, this device was cooling food, water, and living spaces across the ancient world with 0 electricity and 0 cost. Go back to ancient Egypt, 2,500 years before Christ. The Egyptian households in the Nile Valley faced summer temperatures exceeding 110 degrees Fahrenheit with no mechanical cooling of any kind. Archaeological records from excavations at the ancient city of Amarna document ceramic cooling vessels placed in household living spaces during summer months. Howard Carter, the archaeologist who discovered Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922, documented in his field notes that Egyptian tomb chambers maintained temperatures 15 to 20 degrees below outside air without any mechanical intervention. Evaporating clay vessels were part of the documented Egyptian household cooling system. In Nigeria, a teacher named Mohammed Bah Abba revived this exact technology in 1995. He designed a practical modern version of the ancient Egyptian cooling vessel using 2 commercially available clay pots of different sizes, wet sand packed between them, and a wet cloth placed over the top. His design required no electricity, no tools, no special skills, and no materials that were not available in any rural village market. The device was field tested across drought-affected regions of northern Nigeria, where daytime temperatures regularly exceeded 100 degrees, and electrical infrastructure was absent. Temperature measurements taken inside the Zearpot cooling device showed interior temperatures between 40 and 50 degrees Fahrenheit, while outside, temperatures exceeded 100 degrees. Mohammed Bah Abba won the Rolex Award for Enterprise in the year 2000 for this work. His design was documented, published, praised internationally, and then quietly faded from mainstream awareness in developed countries, because a $4 device that requires no electricity and no ongoing purchases has no place in a $240 billion HVAC market. Stay with me, because here's exactly what to do, and the setup truly takes 3 minutes. You need 2 unglazed clay or terracotta pots of different sizes. The inner pot should fit comfortably inside the outer pot, with a gap of approximately 2 to 3 inches between their walls on all sides. Unglazed is essential because glazed pots are sealed and water cannot migrate through the walls, which is the entire mechanism that makes this device work. Standard unglazed terracotta garden pots from any garden center or hardware store are correct. A small inner pot and a medium outer pot together cost approximately $4 to $6. Cover the drainage hole at the bottom of the outer pot with a small piece of tape, a flat stone, or a piece of pottery to prevent water from draining out immediately. Place the inner pot inside the outer pot, centered, so the gap between the walls is even on all sides. Fill this gap between the 2 pots completely with coarse sand. Regular builder's sand or garden sand from any hardware store works correctly. Pour water slowly into the sand until it is fully saturated and will absorb no more. The sand should be thoroughly damp throughout, but not overflowing with water. Place a wet cotton cloth over the top of the entire assembly. Your Zearpot cooler is complete and operating. Set this device in any location where air naturally flows across it. Near an open window with incoming airflow is ideal. Near a doorway where natural air circulation exists is effective. In combination with a fan positioned to direct airflow across the surface of the pot, the cooling effect increases significantly and extends to a larger area of the room. The outer surface of the clay pot will remain continuously moist through evaporation. Within 20 minutes of setup, the air immediately surrounding the pot will be measurably cooler than the rest of the room. The temperature inside the inner chamber of the pot, which can be used to keep food, water, or medication cool, will stay between 10 and 15 degrees below ambient room temperature continuously, day and night, requiring only that you add water to the sand every 6 to 8 hours. Rewetting takes approximately 30 seconds. For room cooling rather than food storage, place the device near an open window or a fan, and the cooler air radiating from the pot surface will lower the surrounding temperature noticeably within the first half hour. In a 10 by 12 foot room with cross ventilation through 2 windows, 2 Zerpot units placed at opposite ends of the room produced the maximum 15-degree drop documented in university testing. I need to be completely honest about the one limitation that the air conditioning industry will point to immediately. Direct evaporative cooling is significantly more effective in dry climates than in humid ones. In dry states like Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, California, New Mexico, and most inland regions, this device delivers the full 15-degree drop because the dry air has enormous capacity to absorb additional moisture through evaporation. In high humidity, coastal regions, and tropical climates, the evaporation rate slows because the air already carries significant moisture, reducing the cooling effect to approximately 5 to 8 degrees rather than 15. 5 to 8 degrees of cooling in a room sitting at 95 degrees is still the difference between sleeping and not sleeping. The limitation is real, and I will always tell you the truth about it. A retired school teacher in Tucson, Arizona documented her transition from central air conditioning running at $212 per month to a combination of 4 Zerpot units placed near windows across her 1,200 square foot home. In the summer of 2022, her July electricity bill dropped from $212 to $31. Her indoor temperatures averaged 80 degrees on days when outdoor temperatures exceeded 115 degrees. She described her home as entirely livable, using the clay pot setup refreshed twice daily. Total monthly material cost for that summer, under $4 in water. Mohammed Bah Abba proved in field conditions across 100-degree Nigerian villages that 2 clay pots and wet sand performs the essential function of refrigeration and room cooling with 0 electricity and 0 ongoing cost. University laboratory testing in Phoenix confirmed the 15-degree drop and published the results in a peer-reviewed journal. $240 billion in annual HVAC industry revenue requires you to believe that this 4,000-year-old, $4 3-minute technology is too primitive to be worth your attention. The clay pots are at your garden center right now. The sand is at your hardware store. The physics that makes this work has not changed once since Egyptian households used it to survive the Nile Valley summer 4,500 years ago. Today, you just remembered everything they spent billions making sure you would forget. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe and share it right now with someone suffering through this heat wave who cannot afford to run their air conditioning tonight. Every share puts a 4,000-year-old solution in the hands of someone who needs it before they go to sleep tonight. The next vault opens soon, and what is buried inside it has been locked away from you even longer than this one has.